1. Let me tell you about this 1983 Chevy C10 I found on Marketplace for $9,000. This is a classic square-body pickup that's caught my attention, and I want to give you my honest take on it. The truck's sporting a massive 454 big block engine, which is a serious powerhouse for these C10s. It's showing 20,000 miles, though with 3+ owners, I'd be skeptical about whether that's original mileage. The red exterior and matching red interior give it a bold, cohesive look, and I'm particularly intrigued by the digital dash upgrade. That's a cool modern touch on a classic truck. The seller mentions every part is there, which is promising, but I definitely want to verify the condition of everything in person. For $9,000, you're looking at a truck that's had multiple owners and likely some modifications along the way. That 454 engine is a valuable asset if it's running well, but these motors can be thirsty at the pump. The automatic transmission is a plus for daily drivability. Being completely honest, this price point seems reasonable for a running C10 with a big block, especially in today's market, but you'll want to thoroughly inspect the undercarriage for rust and check all the mechanicals. These trucks are becoming increasingly popular among collectors and customizers, so while it might need some attention, it could be a solid project with good potential. Remember though, always inspect any classic vehicle in person before making a decision. The seller's "no low ballers" comment suggests they're firm on the price, but it's still worth seeing it up close to make sure you're getting what you pay for. 2. Let's talk about this 1984 GMC Jimmy I found on Marketplace for $5,500. I'm going to be completely straight with you about this one. While the seller claims 50,000 miles, let's be real about what we're looking at here. First, let's address the elephant in the room, the transmission issue. The seller's honest about the fact that it's not grabbing second gear, which is a significant problem with the 700R4 transmission. That's going to need attention, and transmission work isn't cheap. On the positive side, it's got some decent upgrades, a mild-built 350 engine, a 4-inch lift, and it's rolling on 33-inch Maxxis bighorns. Plus, you're getting an extra set of 35s on aluminum wheels, though they're worn out, as the seller admits. The burgundy color scheme inside and out is classic, and the seller's being upfront about it being clean for the year, not perfect. With a clean title and no significant damage reported, that's promising. But remember, this is still a nearly 40-year-old SUV. At $5,500, you're looking at a project vehicle that needs immediate transmission work. While the seller says it's slightly negotiable, you'll need to factor in the transmission repair costs. These old Jimmys are getting harder to find, especially with a clean title. But don't let that cloud your judgment about the work needed. This could be a cool project for someone who knows their way around these vehicles and isn't afraid of transmission work, but it's definitely not a hop-in-and-drive situation. The honesty in the seller's description is refreshing, but make sure you go see it in person if you're serious about buying. 3. Let's check out this 1982 Chevrolet C70 flatbed truck listed for $4,200 on Marketplace. I want to give you my honest thoughts on this commercial classic. This is a heavy-duty workhorse with a 19-foot flatbed, which is pretty substantial for anyone needing serious hauling capacity. The seller claims 64,000 original miles with just 2 previous owners, which is remarkably low mileage for a commercial truck of this age. If those miles are genuine, that's definitely a selling point. The truck comes with a manual transmission, which is typical for these old workhorses and generally more reliable in heavy-duty applications. It's wearing white paint, and while the seller doesn't specify the interior color, these were built for function over fashion. At $40,200, I've got to say this seems like a pretty fair price in today's market for a running C70 with a clean title, especially with that low mileage. However, the seller's description is incredibly brief, which makes me a bit cautious. I definitely want to know more about its mechanical condition, whether it's been sitting or regularly used, and the condition of the flatbed. These C70s are known for their durability, but at 41 years old, you'll want to thoroughly check the brake system, hydraulics, and look for any rust issues, particularly under that flatbed. The fact that it has a clean title and no significant damage or problems is promising, but with commercial trucks, you really need to verify everything in person. This could be a solid buy for someone needing a heavy-duty hauler or for a small business. But make sure to inspect it thoroughly and maybe bring along someone who knows these old commercial trucks before making a decision. 4. Let's talk about this 1977 Ford F-150 that's listed for $5,000 on Marketplace. And I'm going to be completely honest about what we're looking at here. Look, the seller is being pretty upfront about this truck's condition, and we need to address the red flags right away. This F-150 has been sitting for 5 years at the beach, and if you know anything about vehicles, that's a concerning combination. Beach exposure means salt air, and 5 years of sitting means we're likely looking at some serious rust issues, which the seller openly admits to. The truck shows 150,000 miles on the clock and has had 2 owners. While it's wearing a blue exterior with a brown interior and comes with a clean title, there are some serious considerations here. Yes, the seller says it runs and drives, but after sitting for 5 years, you're looking at a lot of potential issues: dried seals, deteriorated fuel lines, crusty brake lines, and who knows what else. For $5,000, you're buying a project truck that needs immediate attention. The fact it hasn't been licensed in 5 years means you'll need to deal with registration issues too. These 77 F-150s are desirable trucks when they're in good shape, yet this one's beach vacation has likely taken its toll. If you're handy with a welder and don't mind tackling rust repair, this might be worth considering. These old Fords have a strong following and parts are generally available. However, be realistic. You're not buying a weekend cruiser. You're buying a project that needs significant work. I appreciate the seller's honesty about the condition, but make sure you go see this truck in person and really check those rust spots before making any decisions. The price might seem low, but remember, rust repair can quickly exceed the purchase price. 5. Let's check out this 1984 Chevrolet El Camino that's popped up on Marketplace for $8,500. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on this interesting piece of automotive history. This El Camino is rocking a 350 V8 engine, which is a great power plant for these car trucks. The seller claims 28,000 miles, though they're careful to note this is based on the previous owner's word. Always something to be a bit cautious about with vehicles this age. The blue-on-blue color combination is classic 80s style, and importantly, the seller specifically mentions there's no rust, which is a huge plus for these G-body vehicles. Now let's talk about what it needs. The seller's being upfront about 2 issues. The headliner needs replacement, a common problem in these older GM vehicles, and the AC needs charging. The good news is that these are relatively minor issues compared to what you often find in vehicles of this age. The seller emphasizes that it needs nothing mechanically or electrically, which is promising. With a clean title and an automatic transmission, this could be a solid driver with just a few cosmetic fixes. The El Camino is one of those unique vehicles that combines car comfort with truck utility, and the 84 models are particularly sought after as they were nearing the end of production. At $8,500, you're in the ballpark for a clean, rust-free El Camino with a V8, especially in today's market. The low claimed mileage, if genuine, adds value, though you'll want to verify this as much as possible. The fact that the seller is clear about the minor issues and firm on no trades or lowball offers suggests they know what they have. This could be a great buy for someone wanting a unique classic that can still be used regularly. Just make sure to inspect that claimed low mileage and rust-free status in person, and factor in the headliner and AC work into your budget. 6. Let's talk about this interesting Chevy truck listed for $6,500 on Marketplace. I'm going to be straight with you. This is quite a mashup of different Chevy truck parts, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. This truck is what we call a hybrid build. It's got a 67 front clip, 70 cab, 90s bed, and a 72 frame. The seller's been really transparent about this mix and match setup. The heart of this truck is a 1998 5.7L Vortec 350 engine with a cam, paired to a 700 R4 transmission with a lockup torque converter. That's a solid, reliable powertrain combination. The 12-bolt rear end with 343 gears is a desirable setup too. What's particularly impressive is the framework. It's been sandblasted, primed, painted black, and upgraded with poly bushings. That's the kind of foundation work you want to see in a project truck. The claimed 20,000 miles likely refers to the rebuilt engine, or since the build was completed, as this is essentially a custom truck. The seller's been daily driving it for 2 to 3 months without issues, which is a good sign for reliability. However, they're honest about the fuel economy. These old trucks with V8s aren't exactly gas sippers, which is why they're selling. At $6,500, considering the work that's gone into it and the mix of upgraded components, it's actually priced pretty reasonably. You're getting a truck with modern running gear and a classic body. The blue exterior with black interior gives it a clean look. This would be perfect for someone who appreciates a well-thought-out custom build and doesn't mind driving something unique. Just remember, with any custom build, you'll want to inspect everything carefully and maybe bring along someone who knows these trucks well. The seller seems open to offers and trades, which gives some room for negotiation. 7. Let's talk about this 1966 Dodge D200 that's listed for $3,900 on Marketplace, and I'm going to be completely honest about what we're dealing with here. The seller's description is brief but telling. Truck runs good, automatic V8 brakes bad. Let's be clear right up front. Bad brakes are a serious safety issue that needs immediate attention. This isn't something to take lightly or brush off as a minor inconvenience. This old Dodge workhorse shows 123,151 miles and has had more than 3 owners in its 57-year life. It's wearing white paint inside and out, and it's powered by a V8 with an automatic transmission, which was a solid powertrain combination for these trucks. However, the minimal description leaves a lot of questions unanswered about its overall condition. At $3,900, you're looking at a project truck that needs immediate brake work before it can be safely driven. These old Dodge trucks are getting harder to find, and they have a strong following among classic truck enthusiasts. However, you need to factor in the cost of a complete brake system overhaul. We're talking master cylinder, lines, wheel cylinders, and possibly more. The seller's honesty about the brake issue is appreciated, but I'd want to know a lot more about the truck's overall condition, rust situation, and whether there are any other mechanical issues lurking. These old Dodges are generally sturdy trucks, but at this age, anything could need attention. This could be a good starting point for someone who knows their way around classic trucks and isn't afraid of brake work, but it's definitely not a drive-it-home-today situation. Make sure to inspect it thoroughly and have a solid plan and budget for those brake repairs before making any decisions. 8. Let's check out this 1978 Ford F-150 listed for $6,000 on Marketplace. I'm going to give you my honest take on what appears to be a well-maintained workhorse. This F-150 is powered by Ford's legendary 300 cubic inch inline-6 engine, paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. This is one of the most reliable combinations Ford ever put in a truck. The orange exterior with brown interior gives it that classic 70s vibe, and the seller's been impressively thorough about recent maintenance. Let's talk about all the new parts because this list is substantial. LED headlights, radiator, fuel pump, fuel tank, water pump, carburetor, battery, rims and tires, grille, cherry bomb muffler, and a complete brake system overhaul including lines, master cylinder, and vacuum booster. That's a serious amount of mechanical investment right there. The seller's being upfront about the truck's condition. It needs some cosmetic attention, and there's a dent in the roof from a fallen tree branch. However, they emphasize it's mechanically sound and very straight otherwise. At 70,000 miles, there's still plenty of life left in this old Ford. For $6,000, considering all the new parts and the current market for classic trucks, this seems like a fair starting point for negotiations. The seller even mentions they have the tailgate, though it's not installed yet. The fact that it has a clean title and no significant mechanical issues is a big plus. This could be perfect for someone wanting a reliable classic truck that needs some cosmetic TLC. That inline-6 engine is known for running forever when maintained properly, and with all those new parts, you're getting a solid foundation. Just be sure to check for any rust issues and verify all those new parts are installed correctly if you're serious about buying. 9. Let's talk about this 1985 GMC Sierra listed for $5,500 on Marketplace, and I'll be straight with you about what we're looking at. I've got to point out that the seller's description is incredibly vague. Just curious on trades doesn't tell us much at all about the truck's condition or history. That's a red flag we need to address right away. What we do know is that this Sierra has racked up 200,000 miles and has had at least 3 owners, so it's definitely seen its share of use. The truck comes with a manual transmission, which many enthusiasts prefer, and it's wearing white paint inside and out. While it supposedly has a clean title and no significant damage or problems, the lack of details about its mechanical condition, maintenance history, or any recent work is concerning. At $5,500, you're looking at what appears to be a high-mileage square-body GMC. These trucks have a strong following and are known for their durability, but with 200,000 miles, you'll want to thoroughly inspect everything. The fact that the seller is mainly interested in trades rather than providing information about the truck's condition makes me a bit skeptical. If you're interested in this Sierra, you'll definitely want to see it in person and ask a lot of questions. Find out about the engine condition, transmission health, rust situations, and any recent maintenance. These 85 Sierras can be great trucks, but at this mileage and with such limited information, you need to do your due diligence before making any decisions. Remember, a clean title is good, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. Make sure you get a full picture of what you're buying if you decide to check this one out. Let's talk about this 1964 Chevrolet 3500 that's listed for $4,500 on Marketplace. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on this classic workhorse. This truck has some interesting upgrades worth noting. First off, it's running a rebuilt 250 cubic inch inline-6 engine, which is known for its reliability and torque, a great choice for a work truck. The sellers installed a new clutch and pressure plate with a 4-speed manual transmission, which is good news for anyone planning to put this truck to work. One of the more interesting modifications is the rear axle swap from an '84 Chevy 3500. This is actually a smart upgrade as it likely provides better gear ratios and possibly better braking than the original '64 setup. The truck's wearing new tires, which is always a plus, and it's finished in black with a white interior. At $4,500, considering the rebuilt engine, new clutch assembly, and axle upgrade, the price seems reasonable in today's market for classic trucks. The seller's firm on no trades, which suggests they know what they have and what they want for it. However, there are some things we don't know. The seller doesn't mention the mileage, the condition of the body and frame, or any rust issues, which would be important to check on a truck of this age. While it has a clean title and supposedly no significant damage, you'll definitely want to inspect the body, frame, and all mechanical components thoroughly. This could be a solid buy for someone looking for a classic heavy-duty truck with some modern upgrades. The inline-6 4-speed combo is bulletproof when maintained properly, and with the newer rear axle, it might be more practical than a completely stock example. Just make sure to check for rust and verify all the mechanical work in person if you're interested. 11th. Let's check out this 1982 Chevrolet 3500 that's listed for $8,000 on Marketplace. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on this classic workhorse. This truck is packing a 454 big block V8, which is a serious power plant known for its torque and pulling power. With 95,000 miles showing and more than 3 owners, it's got some history behind it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for these robust trucks. The seller's being refreshingly honest here. They straight up say, the truck is not perfect but is clean for its age. I appreciate that kind of transparency. What's particularly interesting is that both the AC and heat are working, which is pretty impressive for a 41-year-old work truck. The white exterior with black interior is a classic commercial vehicle combination. What really catches my attention is that the current owner has been daily driving it and says they wouldn't be afraid to go anywhere in it. That's a strong vote of confidence for a truck of this age. When someone's willing to rely on a vehicle daily, it usually means it's mechanically sound. At $8,000, you're paying for a classic heavy-duty truck with the desirable 454 engine. These trucks are getting harder to find, especially in daily driver condition with working AC. However, being realistic, with any 40-plus-year-old vehicle, you should expect some maintenance and possibly some minor issues to address. This could be a great option for someone who wants a capable classic truck they can actually use rather than just show. The 454/automatic combination is bulletproof when maintained properly, and these C30/3050s were built to work. Just make sure to check for rust and verify all the mechanicals in person, but the seller's straightforward description and daily use of the truck are promising signs. 12. Let me tell you about this 1981 Chevy 1500 I found on Marketplace for $2,500. Look, I'll be straight with you. This is definitely a project truck, and the seller's being honest about that. The C10/1500 from this era is actually a pretty solid choice for a restoration project, known for their simple design and wide availability of parts. It's rocking a silver exterior with a blue interior, which was a classic combo for these trucks back in the day. It's got the automatic transmission, which is generally the Turbo 350 or 400 in these models. Both pretty reliable units when properly maintained. Being a project truck at this price point, you should expect to put in some work, but that's part of the appeal with these old Chevys. The seller's motivation seems pretty straightforward. They need the space and are open to offers. At $2,500 OBO, or best offer, it's priced in the project truck territory, which is fair considering its condition and age. These C10s are becoming increasingly popular for restoration projects because of their classic looks and relatively simple mechanics. Just remember, you're not buying a ready-to-roll daily driver here. You're investing in a project that'll need some love and attention. But if you're looking to get into classic truck restoration, this could be a decent starting point at this price range. 13. Let's talk about this interesting find. A 1958 Dodge Power Wagon Power Giant that's popped up on Marketplace for $6,500. I've got to be completely honest with you here. This is definitely a project vehicle, and the seller's being upfront about it. It's currently not running and needs work, including a missing radiator. But here's why this is still interesting. Power wagons from this era are seriously rare machines, and this one's a Power Giant model, which makes it even more special. The truck's got 120,000 miles on it, comes with a manual transmission, and is painted black. What's really cool is that it's got the original flat-6 engine and 4x4 system, plus a PTO winch, features that make these trucks legendary. The step-side bed is a desirable feature too. Now let's be real about the price. $6,500 might seem steep for a non-running vehicle, but you've got to understand that these power wagons have become highly collectible. The fact that it's mostly complete is actually a big deal because finding original parts for these trucks can be like hunting for gold. The good news is it comes with a clean title and is currently registered under a non-operational status in the seller's name, which means no title headaches. It's located in Rio Linda, and while it needs a complete restoration, these trucks are known for their incredible durability and overbuilt construction. If you're looking for a weekend cruiser, this isn't it. But if you're passionate about vintage trucks and have the time, skills, and resources for a serious restoration project, this could be a rewarding investment. These power wagons, when fully restored, can command serious attention and value. 14. Let's check out this really interesting 1975 Ford F-100 Ranger that's listed for $10,000 on Marketplace. I've got to say, this one caught my attention because it's actually in remarkably good shape for its age. The seller's listing shows a truck with only 35,000 original miles, which is incredibly low for a vehicle that's nearly 50 years old. It's wearing its original brown paint with a gray interior, and being a two-owner vehicle typically means it's been better cared for than ones that have been passed around. Under the hood, you're getting the reliable 302 V8 engine paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, a fantastic combination that Ford was known for. The mechanical fuel pump is noted as working, which is important because these older mechanical systems are actually quite reliable when properly maintained. At $10,000 firm, the seller knows what they have. For reference, clean original condition F100s from this era, especially Rangers with documented low mileage, are becoming increasingly valuable. The fact that it's in very excellent condition with original colors and interior makes it even more desirable for collectors or enthusiasts looking for an authentic vintage truck. What's particularly appealing here is that you're getting a classic truck that appears to be in well-preserved condition, not a restoration project. With a clean title and such low mileage, this could be a solid investment for someone who appreciates these vintage Fords. These trucks are known for their durability and simple mechanics, making them relatively easy to maintain compared to modern vehicles. Just remember, even in excellent condition, any 48-year-old vehicle will need regular maintenance and care to keep it running well. But if you're looking for a classic Ford truck that you can actually drive and enjoy right away, this one seems to tick all the right boxes. Let's talk about this eye-catching 1980 Chevy C10 stepside that's up for grabs at $9,500. First off, that orange paint really makes this truck pop, and being a round-eye model, referring to the pre-1981 front-end design, makes it particularly desirable among C10 enthusiasts. The brown interior pairs nicely with that exterior color, giving it that perfect late 70s, early 80s vibe. What's really impressive here is that it's a rust-free example, which is a big deal for these old trucks. Being from Nevada helps explain the clean body. Those dry desert conditions are much kinder to vehicles than areas with harsh winters and road salt. Under the hood, you've got the tried-and-true 350 V8 paired with an automatic transmission, one of the most reliable powertrains Chevy ever made. The seller's been putting some work into it, which is good to see. They've installed a new dash, these often crack with age, new hood springs, a common wear item, fresh transmission lines, and done a tune-up. That IKYK, if you know in the description, suggests they understand this truck's value to enthusiasts. At $9,500, you're in the ballpark for a clean, rust-free step-side short bed C10 from this era. These trucks have been climbing in value, especially the step-sides, which are less common than the fleet-side models. The clean title and good running condition make it even more attractive. Just keep in mind that while it's a solid example, it's still a 43-year-old truck. You'll want to budget for ongoing maintenance, but the simplicity of these C10s makes them relatively easy to work on. If you're looking for a classic truck with style that you can actually drive and enjoy, this orange beauty seems like it could be a solid choice. 16. Let's check out this 1963 Chevy C10 that's listed for $5,000 on Marketplace. I've got to be completely honest with you here. This is a truck that shows it's 60 years of age. The seller's being upfront about the body condition, describing it as a bit rough, which is refreshing honesty in the marketplace. It's wearing black paint, though given the description, I'd expect it needs some serious attention in the body department. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It's got the reliable straight-six engine paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, 4 on the floor, which is actually a pretty desirable combination. These inline sixes are known for their bulletproof reliability and torque, and they're usually easier to work on than V8s. The good news is that it runs great and can be driven home, which is huge for a truck of this age. Having a clean title and current registration is also a big plus. No paperwork headaches to deal with. At $5,000, you're looking at what could be a decent starting point for a restoration project. These 63 C10s have become quite popular in the classic truck scene, and parts availability is generally good. The long bed version might not be as sought after as the short bed, but it's more practical if you're planning to actually use it as a truck. Look, if you're expecting a show-ready classic, this isn't it. But if you're looking for a running driving project truck with good bones, and don't mind tackling some bodywork, this could be a worthwhile investment. These early 60s Chevys have a fantastic classic look when they're fixed up, and their simple mechanics make them great learning platforms for DIY restoration. 17th. Let's dive deeper into this 1968 Chevy van I found on Facebook Marketplace for $5,500. I've got to be completely honest with you. This is both an opportunity and a challenge. Let me break it down for you in detail. First off, we're looking at a piece of American van history here. The '68 Chevy van represents that classic first-generation design that's becoming increasingly rare on our roads. The blue exterior gives it that vintage vibe, and those old-school Krager dish wheels really complete the period-correct look. Now let's talk about what's under the hood, because that's where things get interesting and a bit complicated. The van's running a 355 small-block Chevy engine with 4-bolt main caps, which is actually a pretty robust setup. The sellers added some serious performance upgrades. You've got a Comp Cam's thumper camshaft, Chevy Performance hydraulic lifters, and long tube headers feeding into a Flowmaster 40 series exhaust system. There's even an exhaust cutout for open headers if you want to really hear that engine roar. These are quality parts that would cost a good chunk of change to install. However, and this is a big however, the engine's currently making noise, which is why the seller parked it. This is a red flag you can't ignore. The good news is they were responsible enough to park it immediately when the noise started, potentially preventing more serious damage. The new radiator is a plus, but it's overshadowed by the engine concerns. The transmission setup is interesting. It's a 3-speed manual with a granny low first gear. For those who aren't familiar, a granny gear gives you super low-end torque, which can be great for certain applications. At 120,000 miles, the mileage isn't terrible for a vehicle of this age. But remember, these are 1968 miles we're talking about. Every system on this van has seen over 5 decades of use. Price-wise, $5,500 might seem attractive for a classic van, but you need to be realistic about the investment required to get it running properly. The seller mentions they'll fix it if it doesn't sell, which suggests they know what the issue is, but are prioritizing another project. If you're mechanically inclined or have a good relationship with a reliable mechanic, this could be an interesting project. These vans have a strong following in the classic vehicle community, and when properly restored, they can be both valuable and incredibly cool. But go into this with your eyes wide open. You're not buying a daily driver, you're buying a project that needs immediate attention. 18. Let me tell you about this interesting 1985 Chevy El Camino I found on Facebook Marketplace for $5,000. This unique car-truck hybrid, or Ute as some call it, has been with just one owner and has clocked 150,000 miles over its lifetime. The silver exterior paired with the blue interior makes for a classic 80s combination. Under the hood, you're getting a gasoline engine connected to an automatic transmission, and the seller mentions it's got a 380 dual exhaust system. The El Camino is completely paid off, which is always good news. While 150,000 miles might seem high, these vehicles were built pretty tough, and many are still running strong today. The dual exhaust setup could give it a nice rumble, though you'd want to check its condition in person. For $5,000, it's priced in the ballpark for a running El Camino from this era, but as with any 38-year-old vehicle, you'll want to do a thorough inspection before making a decision. These vehicles have a dedicated following, and finding one with a single owner is actually pretty rare these days. 19th. Let me tell you about this gem I found on Facebook Marketplace. A 1985 GMC Sierra 2500 listed at $8,000. This is one of those finds that really catches your attention, and for good reason. With just 60,000 miles on the clock, this is remarkably low mileage for a truck of this age. We're talking about a 38-year-old workhorse that's barely been broken in. The white exterior paired with the blue interior is a classic 80s combination that still looks sharp today. What makes this truck even more special is that it's got a 4-speed manual transmission, which is becoming increasingly rare to find in good condition. The seller's being honest about a few dents, which is refreshing, but states the body is otherwise in great shape. One of the coolest features is the dual gas tank setup, and both tanks are reported to be working perfectly. That's pretty uncommon for these old trucks, as usually at least one tank has issues. They've only made one modification by installing a new radiator, which is actually a smart upgrade for reliability. The fact that everything else is original makes this truck particularly attractive for collectors or enthusiasts who appreciate originality. At $8,000 with the seller open to best offers, this could be a solid deal for a well-preserved piece of American truck history, especially considering the low mileage and manual transmission combination. These square-body GMCs are really gaining popularity among collectors, and finding one this original with low miles is getting harder every year. 20. Let me tell you about this sweet 1977 Chevy C10 Bonanza I found on Facebook Marketplace for $13,000. This is one of those trucks that tells a real family story, and I've got to say, it's pretty special. We're looking at a family-owned beauty that's been lovingly maintained, complete with Grandpa's maintenance records. That's like finding gold in the classic truck world. The truck's got 88,640 miles on its original 350 V8 and 3-speed automatic transmission, which is actually quite reasonable for a 46-year-old vehicle. It's a long bed, 2-wheel drive model in red with matching interior. And here's what makes it particularly interesting. It's almost completely original except for practical updates to the carburetor and fuel pump. Those dual fuel tanks are a great feature when they're working properly. Now let's be honest about the condition. The seller mentions some rust, which is typical for these C10s, but they're being upfront about it. They're calling it a diamond that needs a little work to be show-ready. And given the family history and maintenance records, this could be a solid investment. The Bonanza package was a higher trim option, which adds some value. At $13,000, you're paying for the truck's originality, documented history, and the fact that these square-body Chevys are seriously hot in the classic truck market right now. The clean title and accident-free history definitely add value. While it might need some rust remediation, having a well-documented 3-owner truck that stayed in the same family since new is pretty rare these days. These C10s are known for being great restoration candidates, and this one sounds like it's got good bones to work with.